What I really found most disturbing about the fact that this planet does not have medical technology, I'm not talking about your current medicine that is at best primitive. It's literally like having witch doctor voodoo medication.
Yeah.
Half of the pills that they force upon you have all kinds of terrible side effects, and such medicinals in our time period do not exist because we simply bathe in the correct restorative frequencies, which allow your body to regenerate almost immediately. You see, because if that's what you wish to do, the right tonations are capable of not only restoring your health, but also regenerating part of your spirit as well, too. That was the whole purpose of having certain planets bathed in certain frequencies. That's why they have restricted that on this planet, so that you cannot heal yourself by thought. Any of the beings that are injured over time would simply sit and meditate, and over a period of, say, several hours could restore their own health. Of course people don't die of old age. Old age is a creation of this planet.
Yeah.
And it's a creation of other planets that are caught within whatever programmable energy flux that has been directed towards them. So that was one question that I was trying to answer. Also, there are the right kind of nanotech, the ones that won't kill you, as opposed to what they're making here on this planet, that when you're injected with them, they allow you to live virtually forever. And they also perform multiple functions that are outside of the body, which is why some nanotech is very dangerous, because it's easily controllable by a shift in frequencies, unless you carry your own personal shield, of course, which many of us do, so that we can maintain our own internalized nanotechnology inside our bodies. You see, one of the weapons of the future isn't to attack individuals, it's to send out the right frequency blast to try and control your internalized personal nanotechnology that you can program to do a variety of different things. Oh my goodness, I've put on a few extra pounds. I'll just tweak my nanotech to make sure that my metabolism maintains my weight. Oh, I'd like to change my hair color. Let me just give my little nanotech flick here. I think I'll go to blonde today. Oh, I'd like to put on some weight. I'll shift my frequency, and now nanotech is beginning to pack on muscle for me. Yes, it's amazing what can be done. The problem is there are all these counters to this kind of technology. But I wanted to mention it because, yes, we are also a society that requires technology, but you see, in my dimensional aspect of understanding things, where I come from, such technology is highly regulated, and we have given some of our power away to super beings who then govern the law, and they are infallible, and they absolutely will not break the laws, and they will absolutely enforce the laws. And it doesn't matter who you are, high, low, mighty, nobody. The judges, for lack of a better term, when they come looking for you, they have absolute authority over life and death, and can cast you down a dimension, can immediately take your life, can do a variety of different terrible things to you if you violate things like the Prime Directive, which is you may not interfere with a being who is on this planet that is learning something that they have specifically come to this planet to learn. And you see, a lot of you don't know what that is because you don't even believe in reincarnation. So you could be interfering in someone's life, and there you would have zero chance of having them do whatever it is you want them to do. For example, follow a certain religion, because if they were already sent to this planet the way that, say, Eridil was, and she already had a certain focus, and that's what she was going to do, then that is precisely what she will do, and nobody on the planet can change her from doing that. And that's the problem that we have primarily in your world, is everybody's a busybody. Everybody's trying to interfere with your learning. They want you to follow their programming. They're trying to change that. But you see, Father said, no, that's not what I created that world for. Everyone has a place in this jigsaw puzzle world of multiple dimensions that appear to be a singular one, which it is not. There are multiple upon multiple dimensions that are scalar to this exact world. And that's even more truth, again, from Aya.
I just want to mention that the indoctrination on this planet has been so successful, and I mean perfectly successful, that now we have the fact checkers, and the fact checkers are lying about their fact checking. And the other day I had an incident where I was able to show somebody right off Twitter the quote that the fact checkers said was incorrect. So I went and cut the quote and pasted it into a forum, and they still didn't believe me. So the indoctrination has been so successful that majority of people will not believe this information, or we sound completely crazy to them because it's not what they've been told is the truth. And that's the problem on this planet. Part of this development and learning to grow also means that you had to understand the game. And part of the game was deception.
And of course that they use deception, because we've seen how effective deception is, because the entire world is a deception. We've been told that this is just a big spinning ball, or it's a huge flat plane of existence, because you got your flat earthers too out there, who, by the way, have been deceived. It was originally the Jesuits that came up with the concept of flat earth to utterly confuse men's minds about religion and everything, because you see, if you're arguing over the world's flat or round, what you're not paying attention to is what's being done on the earth. No, you're going to argue and debate over, oh, is it round, is it flat, you know. It's both, and it's neither. It's not what you think it is. It's a jigsaw mishmash puzzle that we have been fooled into believing is a singular experience, but it's not. There are multiple dimensions. This is a huge Matrix-like video game that is very real to the people that are in each frequency that are experiencing it, because we're directly connected to the game itself by our spirit and our soul and our other connective influences that have been tendrilled onto us, because we're not just here by ourselves. We're here to accomplish something, and we're here to learn something, and yet we have all these other beings interfering with that education. It's like saying that you finally won the ability to go to Harvard, but then when you get there, they bait and switch your ass for kindergarten learning instead of what you really came here to do, which is to raise the powers of Atlantis, which is to also understand that we were here to be educated by some of the foremost minds that exist in this quadrant of the galaxy, because the Earth was to be our school and our training ground for fathers, so that we could be utilized in one shape, one form or another. And that's why all the aliens contributed in this quadrant to the creation of this planet. All the animals that are here, every one of them is brought from a different world. That's why when you say, oh my goodness, look at the carvings from ancient Egypt. We had birdmen, and we had, beings that had wolf heads and dog heads and bird heads. And you're like, oh, all these things are crazy. But then we have the same, animals that exist here as well, each one brought from its own species, from its own kind and its own caregiver. For example, we have cats. Well, where do you think the cats came from? The Lyrans gave us. They're very rare on this planet, apparently. Well, they're barely not rare here on this planet, but they're rare throughout the multiverse. So if you have a little kitty with you and you want to take a little trip to the stars, you would be probably an instant wonder and a hit, because these were considered to be powerful gifts that were only given to the gods. In fact, at one time in Egypt, cats were worshipped as guardians and as little gods. And all of this is like, oh wow, it's just a damn cat, but it's not just a damn cat. These are very special beings that can connect with us. Thus you have all the folklore of, the witch's familiar, was always the black cat. But yeah, in reality, we all can attune ourselves to animals, and the whole Dr. Dolittle thing is not that far-fetched, because there really are beings that can commune and understand and talk with their animals over time. It shouldn't come as a real shock to people,
No.
because that's precisely one of the things we were supposed to be, was caregivers. So we're in kindergarten learning how to be good to animals and how to raise the right kind of animals and which ones are food and which ones are not. And, that was all very serious stuff. I mean, you start eating the wrong things, you start upsetting the wrong aliens in the multiverse. For example, I don't know if many of you know this, but a lot of the seafood was given to us by the oceanics.
Yeah.
But there are limits to what we can eat. We're not supposed to eat any seafood that has intelligence. For example, dolphins. I know there's a lot of people that really, get real touchy-feely and stuff. But, to a certain extent, P.O was right, to a certain extent. Now, we don't go insane about things, but we also understand that animals have their place in the cosmos. And many of these are smaller souls that are working their way up to becoming bigger souls. So when you say that animals don't have any feeling or they don't experience pain or sadness, that's all lies, because a soul is a soul is a soul. Some are smaller souls, some are bigger souls.
And you know what? I've talked about this before, but one of the things I find the most heinous is when you see trophy hunters, people that are sitting behind a bunch of heads with their gun in tow and they're hugging each other. Are you kidding me? You have fun killing sentient life forms. If you are hungry, I understand that. You give thanks to the animal when you kill it, and you say thank you for your offering. But you just don't go on safari and start killing animals, okay? That shows what a lower life form you really are.
Actually, what these people are doing is reenacting exactly what the reptilians do to us. And they also justify it because they can point their finger and say, of course we hunt these humans. Look what they do to lesser species. Okay, they don't hunt because they need to eat. That's different. As we've always explained, it is always okay if you are starving to harvest another animal, except for it cannot be the same species. You cannot, if you are human, eat human flesh. You're not supposed to.
Right.
That's part of the reason why they add, different types of fetal cells into our food, because they're trying to expose us, to make us break the Father's laws, one of which is that we are all one, and that as humans, at least from a species level, we're not supposed to consume each other. Okay, that's a no-no. No, we were given lesser species, some of which were gifts to us, and we were taught about animal husbandry and those kind of things. That was a gift from the gods. We're allowed to harvest certain kinds of animals. You cannot harvest animals with equal intelligence to humans, though. For example, squid, as you said, different types of octopi, highly intelligent. Anything bigger than, say, a tuna is not supposed to be eaten. But, the biomasses like crab and shrimp and all of the fish, and that's the crustaceans, right? Because they're made to be our food, and you can tell that, like in small schools, fish swim together, and they're all basically of one controlled mind anyhow.
Right.
So, but we're allowed to feed upon that. That's okay. Okay, that was the gift from the oceanics, who have been at the foremost of every planet when it is gifted water. That's part of their area that they control, and we are supposed to, in return, respect the oceans and not pollute them, which, as you can see, we haven't done a really good job now, have we?
No. I'm just waiting for the oceanics to start throwing our junk and our trash back up on the shorelines. And you don't think that's not going to happen?
Well, look at Aquaman, the movie. I mean, it happened in that movie, right?
Yeah, they're telling you what a possibility is. That's what they're telling you.
Remember, the Archons that control this planet, and remember the Archons involve not just the reptilians, but the darker demonic beings, they cannot manifest. They use us through our programming to manifest the world that they want us to have.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing all these, different movies that come out, this is the future that they want us to have, where we are under siege by whatever the powers may be, the opposing alien forces on this planet. And believe me, there's a lot of them, but most people are unaware of that.
I think there's a lot of people who are unaware that there's actually a species of great beings in the universe who are called the Oceanics. And I want to give you an example of those great beings. Was it Star Trek, where he had to go visit them in that spaceship that was in water, and he was talking to them?
Yeah, they were the Oceanics.
The
Oceanics. That was in Enterprise, the series called Enterprise, and Jonathan Archer was the captain, and he was trying to talk with the Council.
Yes.
Of all things, okay? Now, this may not be exactly the same way it's represented in reality in the universe, but it gives you a really strong feel for the truth of these matters, because as we know, all of this is programming to begin to allow us to understand what's going on in the cosmos around us.
Yeah, and these beings are very powerful. They're very ancient beings. They go from different worlds to check their family and how they're doing. And they are very displeased about what's happened here, because there were once 3 great Oceanics in our oceans on Earth, and now there's only one left. And so that tells you that the other 2 have sadly either been annihilated or they passed from all the toxic waste in our oceans. So I understand why some of these alien beings have said we don't want to work with the humans, because of some of the terrible things that have happened to their family that we've never considered before, because there were covenants placed upon this planet. And part of those things came from other beings who wanted the best for not just their family, but for the planet itself. And so they made offerings to us, like the Oceanics did with fish and crustaceans, as food supplies for us. But they never said, and this was something that was known in ancient times, they never said that you can hunt the whale, the dolphin, the squid. They were species that were supposed to be hands off.
And we know that the greatest of the Oceanics actually created an entire underworld communication system using some of the more intelligent species that would go on different patrols, and they would actually sing to the underwater, and all of this information would travel along the sound corridors that are designed around the planet. In fact, as I used to be a sonar technician in the Navy, and I would devote endless hours to listening to all of the underwater crustaceans and the shrimp and the different types of oceanics that would sing to each other, and all the sound effects that you would hear underneath the water. It is very noisy in the ocean. A lot of people don't know that, because you have all of these amazing beings speaking to each other. And we would listen sometimes when we were on patrol to how one dolphin or one whale would sing a certain tune, and the tune would be echoed by other whales, except they would add a little bit more to the tune. So it was sort of like, you remember when you sat in class and they say, okay, I'm going to whisper something at one end of the class, and let's see what happens when it gets to the other end. And it would be like one story, be like a sentence, and by the time it got to the other end of the everyone had spoken it was almost a completely different story. Well, when the whales do this, they get it exactly right. I know we used to do recordings of this when we heard these things, because we were often asked by NOAA at the time to do this kind of recording, and it was amazing the information that we would record. And you would hear it. These whales would get this song perfect every time, and then they would rebroadcast another song, which would be an add-on information, so that now if you were listening to them echoing, they were the rolling billboards, the underwater internet that would keep all of the other oceanics aware as to everything that was going on.
That would make sense to me, because a lot of these species were put here because they were told that they would have beautiful oceans to grow their families, a clean planet, and that they would have a relationship with the humans. Well, that didn't quite exactly work out, because once the humans were taken over by dark thoughts, we thought it was okay to just dump our garbage in somebody else's backyard.
Which is never a good idea.
Never.
Especially your own oceans where you harvest your food from.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, guys, there are all kinds of things going on behind the scenes that most of you are not made aware of.
Yeah, but we're going to start at Stephen A. Jones here. As they say, we wanted to remind everybody, listen, we're going to start really delving into the deeper thoughts. We're going to start taking you guys a little bit further down the rabbit hole. For some of you, you might want to bail at this point and say, I've had enough. I don't know if I really want to know every truth there is to know, but we have a lot more coming your way. And let me tell you, the more you hear, the crazier you're going to think we are. But I'm going to tell you, you know we're telling you the truth now, don't you?
Yeah. And the thing is that there are about to be appearances across this planet. And if you've never seen the V series 2009, you might want to watch it because they're going to come along with the same. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, that's all coming. Right now they're doing it gently and softly. They haven't completely decloaked above every major city yet, but something very similar to that will be coming along. And remember, no matter what the hell they tell you, don't be first in line for any of this stuff, guys and gals. Let's just see what it does to everybody else first, and then wait a while. Now, maybe the second, or I wouldn't even go to the second call. Probably the third or fourth call for, when they start distributing technology. By then, there'll be enough people have been, how shall we say, harvested, so that maybe they'll actually have to give out the real technology at some point. Otherwise, all of humanity will rise up and extinguish them, especially considering a lot of what you're going to be seeing is going to be staged, fake, phony fraud. It's going to be the so-called alien invasion, but let's just say it's not going to be exactly what people think.
No, it never is.
Oh, I guess that'll do it for today, guys. They told me I could step in and close the show out, so blessings, love, and light to all of you. Thank you so very much for visiting, and don't be afraid to stop by when the ancients speak. Do a little shopping. Think about a Shatisti Spria bracelet like we've been pushing lately. You'll love it. It can do all kinds of wonderful things for you emotionally, mentally, and maybe even spiritually. You never know. Also, keep in mind, too, that a small donation every now and then is always welcome. And if you haven't joined the cutting room floor yet and you listen to our videos, we have so many MP3s and other things on the cutting room floor right now that you can literally listen to us for a long, long time and learn a lot of different things and hear everything that we've been through and everything we've talked about. This is Charles saying, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.